Hello, game changer. Thank you very much for finding time to join this conversation. This is Coach Chenjerai Mukandiona. I'm a mindset coach. Today, I want to discuss about the importance of being mimetic. The importance of being mimetic, especially to our environments. Game changer, after this discussion, I hope you will be able to understand the importance of you becoming adaptive to any environment if you ever want to succeed in life. A question that is often asked is that, can our thinking shapes the environment, or it is the environment which shapes our thinking? This is the question that I will attempt to address in the course of this discussion. So let me start by making a comparison between two great people in the Bible, Apostle Paul and Apostle Peter. If you look into the Bible closely, you realize that Apostle Paul had so much impact in the spread of the gospel. He wrote many of the chapters, many of the books in the Bible. I must say the reason why Apostle Paul was so successful as compared to Apostle Peter is that Apostle Paul was very mimetic. He was mimetic in the sense that when he was with the Romans, he would behave like the Romans, he would speak like them, and enter into their dialogue at the same wavelength with the Romans. When he is with the Jews, he would do the same. But we all know that Apostle Paul was a Jew. But many people hardly know that he was a Jew. Most of them, they thought he was a Roman. And whenever they were interacting with him, they thought they were interacting with a Roman. And they were giving him opportunities and privileges, thinking that he was a Roman. But Apostle Paul was educated by great scholars like Gamaliel, right, in the school of Jewish principles, right. Then Apostle Peter was doing it differently. Apostle Peter, whenever he was educating or preaching to the Gentiles, he would condemn them for not following the Jewish customs. And one of the customs was perhaps to keep Sabbath. And because the Jews didn't keep Sabbath, and so Apostle Peter would often condemn them for not keeping the Sabbath. So Apostle Peter's approach was like to rope people into the ministry. These people had to change their customs and follow his preachings. And this was very different from Apostle Paul's approach, because Apostle Paul's approach was like, we have to be everything so that we can win them all. So Apostle Paul's approach was like to fit into his audience, to understand his audience, and adapt into their way of thinking and way of doing things. And in that respect, you would be able to persuade them and to convince them to buy into his gospel. So Apostle Paul's approach, in my view, was a good approach, because for anybody to be able to convince especially adults. You don't have to persuade them, to argue with them, to prove them wrong. That doesn't work. But you need to understand them, to agree with them, and to show them an alternative way of doing things. And perhaps if they reflect on themselves, that's when they accept to follow your way. So Apostle Paul won many hearts based on this approach. So he was mimetic. So the same approach is very important for us if we want to win in life. We need to follow Apostle Paul's approach. Let me use this analog to clarify what I am trying to paint, the picture that I'm trying to paint here. We all know, right? For you who have attended a college or a university, you know, when you are a freshman and you are new to the school, you don't have friends, right? You are a guy, and at some point in time you want to have a girlfriend. So it happened in most cases that you know, girls, they move around, you know, as a group, maybe a group of 5, and you see, so that's their friendship. But then you need, suppose you need one out of these 5 girls. From these 5 girls, there is one who is very beautiful, and others maybe are average, right? But you need someone to date. But obviously, any guy would want to go for the very beautiful girl. So if you are to take Apostle Peter's approach, you would then, in this case, try to approach the very beautiful girl and talk to her and persuade her and lure her and do everything you can to show that you qualify for her love. And you will not be alone, you know, because every man is attracted to shiny things. So other boys will also be throwing their CVs. And normally what will happen in this is that the girl will be comparing you and other guys, right? Which I think is a wrong unit of analysis, because the right thing to do is for her to compare you with herself, right? Not with another guy, because there is no relationship between you and the other guy. But what is possible is that there can be a relationship between you and her, right? So the right thing is to compare yourself with either one of these guys, right? So what will happen is you make an effort to get her attention and eventually love you. You will be doing everything, throwing everything at your disposal so that you can win her heart. And whatever conversations you will be having with her, one thing for sure is that she will be discussing with her friends and discussing her choices and the comparisons with the other girls, right? Suppose she pick you, or she is interested in you, then that will be a piece of good luck. You know, in life, luck is real, because you are not going to put too much effort, right? And you will be a winner in this case. But if she is not interested, you'll be making an effort, and she is interested, she's rejecting you, and she's, whenever she is discussing about you with other girls, she'll be demeaning, using language which demeans you, which undermine your value, among other things, right? So, and in the process, she will be elevating her value, because now she is positioning herself as a trophy, right? And you are the one pursuing this trophy, right? And eventually you are going to lose. And if you lose, you then say to yourself, what can I do? Let me just live here and approach another girl from their team, their association, right? But remember, they've been discussing about you, and now your brand has been undervalued because you are now a rejected person. So you are now approaching this other girl from the team as a loser. You are carrying a losing brand, a brand that has been undermined, and a brand that has been attacked. So your chances again to succeed will be very low, because what happens is that girls normally make group decisions. If one of them rejected you, it's most likely that all of them will reject you. That is the theory, and practice is shown that the theory is correct, right? So eventually you will lose on both ends. But suppose you decide to take the apostle post approach, to be mimetic, right? So to be mimetic, you approach these girls as a group and have a normal conversation, and through discussions, through interactions and stuff like that, you realize, you observe that one of them is interested, is showing some signs of interest, is the way she is looking at you, and even the day after, as time goes on, you can actually tell that this girl is showing some interest. And if this girl is the beautiful one, then luck is on your side, because luck is real. Then if it's one of the average girls you are not really interested to hang around with, but the right thing, because you are mimetic, you are someone who is adaptive, you approach, you attack this girl who is showing interest. She becomes your target, right? And because she is interested, there are very high chances, extremely high chances, that you will be able to date. If you date, that will be your opportunity to build your brand, to develop your brand, so that you treat her like a queen. You are making her excited, so that whenever she is discussing with her friends, she is elevating you instead of demeaning you. Your brand, your value is being elevated. She is presenting you to her friends in a positive light, to such an extent that even the friends can start to feel jealous about it. You know, for girls, jealousy is their part of life. So because the other, especially the beautiful one, will say, this one is less beautiful than me, but is enjoying, and I'm miserable. And she will, for some reason, start to present herself to you, right? And they will start to compete with one another for your attention, right? It's all because you have been successful with one thing, with this one girl. Then because you are successful in this first, you become influential in other areas, right? So your success breeds success. Success is very attractive, right? So this is how bad guys win the game, because they know how to play it well, right? So the beautiful girls and other girls will start now wrestling to win this guy, right? They will be wrestling among themselves, which is also a wrong unit of analysis, because they are now comparing themselves. The one is saying, no, I'm beautiful, this one is not beautiful, so she doesn't deserve, right? So the right analysis is for each one of them to compare herself with you, not among themselves, right? But however, here, because you've played the game well, their comparison is working in your favor, unlike the first guy, the Peter, who was being compared with the other guys, which was unfair for him, right? So because now you have the opportunity to choose the girl you want, because your brand has been strengthened. Your brand is being seen in a positive light. You have presented yourself as a trophy, which these girls fight to have, right? So basically that's how other guys win this game. It's about knowing how to play it well. So the same thing happens in life, in our environments. The right thing, the secret of success is to do the right thing. What is the right thing to do? And in this case, trying to change the environment is like Apostle Peter trying to convince the Gentiles to keep Sabbath. It's like this guy, the Peter guy, trying to convince the beautiful girl to love her. Yes, you may win, but after some hard struggles. And in most cases, you may not win, because it's better to work on someone's interest rather than on your interest, right? To convince other people easily, try to gauge their interest and act on their interest. So in this case, we need to behave like Apostle Paul. In this environment, the right thing is not to change the environment. And this environment maybe represents the Romans, where Apostle Paul behaved like the Romans. This environment is acting like this average girl who showed interest, and what you need was just to play into her interest. So the right thing will be to adapt into the environment, to be mimetic, to fit yourself into this environment. And when you fit yourself, then this success can be easily attained. Right? Let me give you another example. You travel from one country to another, right? You know, the environment can be hostile. If you don't want the environment, you relocated maybe from, because of hard economic conditions in your country, you travel to another country in search for greener pastures. The right thing will be to go and fit into the new culture, into the way the people there do their things, and you must learn their language quickly, and the way they dress, the type of food they eat, so that when they see you, they don't see you as a stranger or as a foreigner. They will see you as one of them. And when people see you as one of them, because of the concept of in-grouping, they will group you as one of them and give you opportunities and privileges like one of them. They will not be hostile to you. So when you are given opportunities, it means your probability to be successful, to succeed, will be very high, right? Contrary to say, you enter into a foreign country, then you try to educate people in that foreign land, how you do your things, how they are backward, and stuff like that. You see, you will not be able to make it, right? They will drive you back, they will close you out, right? Suppose in an organization, you don't like the organizational culture or the way maybe the leader, the manager is doing things. But then if you try to change the culture, you might end up being kicked out of the organization, because you don't have the power, you don't have the resources to change the culture. Because the leader has got the power and has got the resources. If you try to fight her, to confront her, or anything, because she is an institution, she will bury you alive, right? Because she is an institution, she has got all the powers to control her environment, yet you don't have the powers to control the environment, right? The right thing to do will be to adapt into the existing culture, follow orders, follow instructions, respect her, and rise through the ranks With time you rise through the ranks, and perhaps you'll be promoted, she will resign, and eventually you become the leader. Now, in this case, you are now an institution. And when you are now an institution, you now have the resources and the power to effect the change that you want. Right? So this is the point. This is the idea. The right thing to do is to, first and foremost, as a young person, if you want to succeed in life, adapt into the environment. Allow the environment to consume you. Enter into this environment and do what the environment wants. Take the opportunities that the environment is giving. Work in the interests of the ecosystem. Do not be hostile to the interest of the ecosystem. And gradually, if you are willing and obedient to the demands of this environment, you will be rewarded and you will enjoy the fruits of that environment. And you succeed. And as you succeed, you gain power and resources. Then you use that power and the resources to change the environment, to reshape the environment. This is approach which other great people today used. They enter into certain organizations or political parties or any institution as low-rank officers. The environment wasn't perfect. The culture wasn't perfect. They perhaps they had so many grievances, but they were patient enough to wait and accept the situation as it is and work with it and eventually get rewarded and rose through the ranks. And now that they are at the apex, they use that position to reshape the ecosystem and change it into the environment they want. There are people who become presidents in foreign countries. They come there as immigrants. There are people who become billionaires in the United States of America, yet they went in America as painless people, as immigrants. So this is the approach that I want to advise you to be mindful and take recognition of, such that whenever you face some difficult situation, you will be able to know the right thing to do. We all have our own interests, but knowing when to forgo our interests and pursue and help other people to pursue their interest is wisdom, is a sign of strength. If you look around, you discover that Jews are said to be rich, to be a community of rich people. The reason is very simple, and the reason is that they are very mimetic. Whenever when they want to go, they will go there and learn the language of the people staying there, and position themselves as one of them, one of the new communities. They can even adopt similar names, among other things. They adapt into this new environment. So I want to conclude by emphasizing the point that adaptation is more important than being innovative. Innovation, because you need to start by adapting so that you'll be able to innovate later. Innovate requires power and resources. We've seen so many young people inventing certain products, but those products failed to enter the market because the people in the value chain, other people in the value chain, could not buy that innovation, could not buy into that innovation. They could not, they would use their power to prevent this new innovation, to disrupt their ecosystem. And because this young person doesn't have power and the resources, their innovation, the time and energy put will just be wasted. And I'm saying, if you are adaptive, you can save yourself from these disappointments and embarrassments and complaining, among other things like that. So let us behave like Apostle Paul, who target those interested, who is mimetic, who is everything, who is ready to give herself in to the demands of the ecosystem. Unlike Apostle Paul, who threw everything at his disposal to win or try to bury life, and at the end of the day, it is him who will be buried alive. So, game changer, if you try to change the environment, chances are you will be buried alive. But if you try to shape yourself and fit into the environment, you will find yourself succeeding. Thank you very much. Do not subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel. And if you have any comment, do not hesitate again to write your comment below so that we can interact.